Welcome back to CTV News at 5. Well, back to school means back to packing lunches for many maritime parents. Keeping school lunches healthy and satisfying can be a challenge. Well, Wendy McCallum is a registered holistic nutrition consultant and is no stranger to packing lunches. And she joins us tonight with some helpful tips. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So first of all, what are some key components to a healthy, balanced lunch?
Well, I think it's a great idea to set up some guidelines for healthy lunches with your kids. And a couple of things that I always stress, there should be one fruit and one vegetable. That's a great kind of practice to get into. And also you want to make sure that you've got some good protein in there to give the lunch some lasting power.
So what's some protein that you can pack?
There are lots of different alternatives for protein. You can use things like yogurt, unsweetened yogurt, preferably. You can use hard-boiled eggs. You can use alternatives to peanut butters that are made out of seeds. You can use meats, obviously, and beans and legumes and that kind of thing.
Very cool. So what are some alternatives to the standard peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
Yeah, that's a problem for parents because obviously there are nut restrictions in most of the schools, so the typical peanut butter can't go to school. My favorite alternative for peanut butter is actually something called sunflower seed butter, which is just a paste, just like a nut butter, so it has the same consistency as peanut butter, and it's made with sunflower seeds. So seeds are school safe in most classrooms. So this is a really great natural alternative to that, and it tastes pretty similar to peanut butter, so most kids like it.
Well, some kids might be picky eaters. What do you recommend for picky eaters in particular?
Yeah, picky eaters can be really tricky. all of the strategies that I would give parents outside of the school lunch, I would use with school lunches as well. So those would be things like making sure that you pack a favorite with a new food. So don't load a lunch up with all brand new foods. That's just going to be overwhelming to a selective eater. You're always better off to pair something in there that you know they already like. So they're more likely to start eating. The other thing is don't put too much food in there. They tend to get overwhelmed if they open their lunchbox, and there's all kinds of stuff. They feel the pressure right away. So, and the last thing would be just keep on trying. So kids, sometimes it takes them 30 times of trying something before they start to like it. So you can't give up. It's your job as a parent to just keep introducing those foods.
So don't give up after the first try.
Right.
What about incorporating treats? What would you recommend? Can you pack a treat every day, or is it best to mix it up?
I think personally, in my house, treats aren't an everyday thing. I think it's they have a place in a balanced lunchbox. There are definitely better treats than others that you can include. You can make your own treats with less sugar, whole grains, that kind of thing. There are lots of recipes out there, lots of stuff on my blog right now in that respect. So there are alternatives out there that are better. But I think it's also important not to fall into the trap of thinking that you need to have a treat in every lunchbox. And that's kind of a bad precedent to set with kids. So better off to have it in there once in a while and surprise them pleasantly with it.
That would be a nice surprise. How important is it to plan ahead when it comes to school lunches instead of doing it morning of?
Yeah, planning is key. If you want to keep the variety there and you don't want to get stuck in the sandwich rut, it's really important to get organized in advance. It doesn't take a lot, though. Simple things like making sure that you include ingredients for school lunches on your grocery list, which a lot of people forget to do, so that you've got some stuff that you can actually use for school lunches. Making extra at dinner time, so you can put some leftover soup in the lunchbox in a thermos, that kind of thing. When you make a batch of something, double batch it and freeze half of it.
Oh, just kind of like this soup right here, too.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite tricks. So whenever I make a vegetable soup, I usually make a double batch and freeze half of it in mason jars. Just make sure you don't fill them all the way up because they'll explode. So you need to leave a little bit of room there, but it's just a really great way to have stuff on hand all the time for those mornings when you realize you forgot to buy a loaf of bread the night before.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay, and what about, we haven't touched on drinks. What do you suggest?
Really, for hydration, the best thing for kids is water. And if you've got kids that are starting school this year, I really recommend you just start them off with water in their lunchbox. If they never have juice there, they're never going to expect juice. So a bottle of water is your best bet. And they can refill one of these sort of refillable water bottles at the fountain as well and keep hydrated all day long.
Very accessible as well. And finally, how can you get kids involved in helping pack the lunch too? So it's not just it's not just mom or dad helping.
Really important. If you ask my daughter that, she'd say just make them pack their lunch, which is definitely the first step. You do want to get, tell your kids that they need to get involved in lunches, but ways you can make that easier is you can post lists of the types of foods that are healthy that they can choose from. You can remind them of those guidelines, always a fruit, always a vegetable, always a good protein, always something to hydrate you, water preferably. And then you can just get them involved, maybe give them a better chance at success by getting them packing at night instead of leaving it for a rushed morning when you're likely to just get in there and do it yourself to save time.
Well, it's all good advice, and school starts so soon. So thank you so much for coming in tonight and sharing all this information.
Good luck, everyone.
Good luck. Now, Wendy McCallum, she is a registered holistic nutrition consultant, and she has lots of great tips on her website, which you can find in the hot link section of our website, which of course is atlantic.ctvnews.ca.